Hi children, welcome back to the online classes of physics. So, in the previous class we have seen some points about clinical thermometer and we have also seen what is the working principle of thermometer. What is the working principle of thermometer? On heating the liquids will expand, on heating the liquids will expand. The thermometer works on the principle of expansion of liquids on heating. So, this thermometer consists of a liquid, we will use a special liquid, that is we will call it as thermometric liquid. Thermometric liquid. What is the liquid name here? The liquid is mercury. Mercury, we will call it as thermometric liquid. That is, this liquid is having some properties which is suitable to use it in thermometer. So, by use it is very suitable liquid that can be used in thermometer. So, that is why because of its special property. So, in the previous class only we have discussed what are the special properties of mercury that makes it to use as a thermometric liquid. So, we have seen the properties of mercury liquid. So, what are the properties of mercury? It does not sticks to the walls of the thermometer. The mercury liquid does not sticks to the walls of the thermometer and it is shiny, it is very shiny, it is appears in silver color, the liquid silver. If you observe the silver, how the silver appears, it is very shiny. So, the mercury will also looks like same as it is as the silver, but it will be in liquid state, it will be very shiny. So, you can easily identify the level of the mercury in the thermometer. So, this is the another property, that is first property is it does not sticks to the walls of the container, it is very shiny, so that you can easily identify the level of the mercury inside the thermometer. And what is the next one? It is a good conductor of heat. The mercury can easily absorb the heat and expand. Since mercury is a liquid substance, it will absorb heat and it will expand, and so it is a good conductor of heat. And the third one is the fourth property is the expansion of mercury is uniform. So, these are the properties we have learned in the previous class. So, once again I was repeating, the expansion of mercury is uniform. What is the expansion of mercury is uniform? What is the key point here is expansion of mercury. Mercury is denoted with the chemical symbol, the mercury is a symbol of mercury is Hg, chemical symbol is. So, expansion of mercury is uniform, expansion of mercury is uniform. So, let us say here the level is, here there is some, the mercury is up to some level, and let us say this is at 20 degrees centigrade. So, let us say this is as 20 degrees centigrade. So, this is as 20 degrees centigrade. So, if the temperature, so let us keep this in a some substance which is having 21 degrees centigrade. So, I have kept this thermometer inside a substance, and let us assume this substance is at temperature 21 degrees centigrade. So, initially the readings is at 20 degrees centigrade. So, the mercury will absorb heat from this substance and rises to some extent. So, this will indicate here. So, the mercury reaches to this level and indicates as 21. So, how much increase of temperature is there? The increase of temperature is 1 degree centigrade. Here the temperature is increased to 20 to 21. How much was increased? 1 degree centigrade was raised. With the 1 degree centigrade of rise, the expansion of mercury is, let us say, about 1 centimeter. So, it is raised to a distance of 1 centimeter. Because of the change in temperature of 1 degree centigrade, the mercury's level has raised to a height of 1 centimeter. So, the change, how much raise was there with the 1 degree centigrade rise of temperature, the mercury raised to 1 centimeter. So, again increase the substance temperature to 22 degrees. So, again 22 degrees centigrade was increased, the substance was, the temperature of the substance was increased to 22 degrees centigrade. Again the mercury will expand to 1 centimeter of distance, so up to here. So, again if you increase, again again 1 degree of centigrade of temperature, they again the mercury rises to 1 centimeter of height. So, what you have observed, for every 1 degree centigrade of rise of temperature, the mercury level rises to 1 centimeter. So, such an expansion is called as uniform expansion. What is meant by uniform expansion? Expansion of mercury is uniform. What do you mean by that? What does that mean? That means for every 1 degree centigrade rise of temperature, the expansion is same. Here the temperature is raised to 1 degree centigrade, then the expansion, how much height it was raised? 1 centimeter. And again, if you observe, the temperature was increased to 1 degree centigrade, again 1 centimeter of distance height was raised, and again 1 degree centigrade for every 1 degree centigrade rise of temperature, the expansion of mercury is same. For example, let us consider another liquid. If you are supposed to use, do you think, so I do not use mercury, I want to use water as a thermometric liquid. So, you just do not want to use mercury as a thermometric liquid. So, you are using water. So, what happens in the case of water? For first 1 degree centigrade rise of temperature, the water level rises to 1 centimeter, and again for next 1 degree centigrade rise of temperature, it may rises to 2 centimeters. For the first degree of rise of temperature, the water expansion is 1 centimeter, and for the next 1 degree centigrade rise of temperature, it expands to 2 centimeters of height. So, it is not uniform, whereas for every 1 degree centigrade of rise of temperature, mercury raises to 1 centimeters of height, whereas water for first 1 degree of centigrade, it raises to a height of 1 centimeter, and next another 1 degree centigrade of temperature, 1 degree centigrade rise of temperature, it raises up to a height of 2 centimeters. So, what happens here? The expansion is not uniform. Here the expansion is uniform. For every 1 degree centigrade rise of temperature, the mercury will always raises to a temperature of 1 degree centigrade, always raises to a height of, always increases its height to 1 centimeters. So, this means the expansion of mercury is uniform. That is why we will use mercury as a thermometric liquid in thermometers. That is why we will use only mercury as a liquid in thermometers. So, let us see another concept, that is okay. The thermometer is indicating a reading of 20 degrees centigrade. The thermometer is indicating a reading of 20 degrees centigrade. So, it is showing the readings of 20 degrees centigrade. So, let us say if the temperature was increased to 21 degrees centigrade, the mercury level raises and indicates 21 degrees centigrade, no problem. So, there is no problem. So, if the temperature, initially the temperature is increased to 21 degrees centigrade from 20 degrees centigrade. So, you will observe a rise in the level of mercury. If the temperature was increased to 20 to 21 degrees centigrade, you can observe the rise of mercury level. You can observe the rise of mercury level. For example, so how much change you have observed here? 1 degree centigrade is raised, 1 degree centigrade of temperature is raised. So, let us say if the initially the temperature is 20 degrees centigrade and the final temperature is 20.1 degrees centigrade of temperature. So, here also the temperature increased. How much temperature was increased? 1 degree centigrade of temperature was increased. Here how much temperature was increased? 0.1 degree centigrade of temperature was raised. So, this is a very small change in the temperature. Here for 1 degree centigrade rise of temperature, you can observe the rise of mercury. Here also the temperature was changed. Initially it is 20 and later the temperature was 20.1 degree centigrade. So, it is a very small change in temperature. So, you can observe the rise of mercury when the change of temperature is 1 degree centigrade. But what was the change here? The change is 0.1 degree centigrade of temperature. So, you cannot observe such a small rise of mercury. So, the rise of mercury you cannot observe. Why? Because the temperature, that increase in temperature is very low. Is the temperature same? No. the temperature has changed, but you cannot observe the rise of mercury. Why? Because it is a very small change of temperature. Here you can observe the rise of mercury. Why? Because it is 1 degree centigrade, 1 degree centigrade of change of temperature. Here the change of temperature is 0.1 degree centigrade. So, you cannot observe any change in the rise of mercury. Why? Because the temperature is very less, the temperature change is very low, it is 0.1, it is 10 times less than this number. So, you cannot observe a rise in the level of mercury. So, how can we measure? So, mercury, by using the mercury liquid, you cannot observe small change in temperature. It is a small change in temperature. So, if the temperature change is 1 degree centigrade, you can use mercury as the liquid. If the temperature change is 1 degree centigrade, then you can observe the change in the level of mercury and you can measure the temperature. But if it is a very small change in temperature, you cannot observe a rise in the level of mercury. So, how can you observe, how can you identify a small changes in the temperature? How can we identify a small changes in the temperature? So, why you are not able to observe small changes of temperature by using mercury as a thermometric liquid? Why? Because with a small change of temperature, here what was the change of temperature? 0.1 degree centigrade is the change of temperature. It is a very small rise of temperature. So, that with that rise in temperature, it does not rises. We cannot observe the rise of mercury, it is very small, even you do not identify it, that much small expansion will be there. So, that you cannot identify the rise of mercury when it is very small change in temperature. So, what was the solution for this? So, the thermometer using mercury cannot be used to identify small changes in temperature. If it is a large change in temperature, then it will be useful. Then you can use this clinical thermometer which is having mercury. So, to measure the small changes in temperature, to observe the small changes in temperature, you can use alcohol as the thermometric liquid. So, what is meant by thermometric liquid? The liquids which can be suitable to use in the thermometer are called thermometric liquids. Here mercury is a thermometric liquid, because of its special properties you can use mercury as a thermometric liquid. It is very suitable to use in thermometric liquid. So, and it is not sufficient, the mercury is not suitable to measure small changes of temperature. Why? Because the rise of mercury is not observable. It is not observable. It will rises, but we cannot observe. It is very small rise of mercury when there is a small change in temperature. So, if there is a small change in temperature, we can measure the small changes in temperature by using alcohol as a thermometric liquid. So, what are the two liquids you can use in the thermometer? One is mercury and another one is alcohol. Mercury can be used to identify the large changes in the temperature. To observe small changes in the temperature, you have to use alcohol as a thermometric liquid. So, why you are using alcohol as a thermometric liquid? Let us say for the temperature change of 1 degree centigrade, so here the temperature change was 20 to 21. How much change you have observed? 1 degree change was there. So, the temperature is raised to 1 degree centigrade. So, if it is mercury, the initial position, let us say the initial position of mercury was this, and from this, if there is, this is the 20 degree centigrade, the mercury is at the level of, so this is the mercury. So, it is at 20 degree centigrade, here it is denoting as 20. So, if the temperature was raised to 21 degree centigrade, the mercury level will rise us to up to here. It is now denoting 22 degrees centigrade. So, I was denoting the rise of mercury inside the thermometer here. So, if you use alcohol in the place of mercury, so initially the alcohol was at this position and it is indicated 20 degrees centigrade. So, this is the case of mercury and this is the case of alcohol. So, we are observing for the same 1 degree centigrade rise of temperature. So, if the rise of temperature is 1 degree centigrade, the mercury has raised up to here. How much distance? This is some distance, it can be 1 centimeter or 2 centimeters, anything. So, if you use alcohol in the place of mercury for the same 1 degree centigrade rise of temperature, it rises to this much. So, what you have observed here in the both cases, the rise of temperature is 1 degree centigrade only, but the expansion of alcohol is very large when compared with the mercury. Here the mercury was raised up to here. So, the expansion is small for 1 degree centigrade, whereas alcohol expands very larger up to the expansion of alcohol is very large for 1 degree centigrade. The expansion of alcohol is very large for 1 degree centigrade. If the mercury, so I have considered in a small tube, I have considered mercury up to here. So, in the similar tube, I have considered alcohol. In the similar tube, I have considered alcohol. So, initially these two are at 20 degrees centigrades. Initially these two liquids, one is mercury and another one is alcohol. These two are at initially 20 degrees centigrade. So, later its temperature was raised to 21. Its temperature was raised to 21 degrees. I have considered these two substances, one is mercury and another one is alcohol in two different tubes, similar tubes. I have considered the similar tubes. So, for the rise of 1 degree, how much rise was there? 20 to 21. How much temperature was increased? 1 degree centigrade of temperature was increased. So, with this 1 degree centigrade of increase of 1 degree centigrade of temperature, it rises to this much. So, the mercury level rises to up to here. Initial position is this and final position is this. Why the mercury level was raised? Because of the change of temperature. How much change you have observed? 1 degree centigrade of temperature. For the same change, alcohol will expand up to here. So, what you have observed? The alcohol level rises to here, whereas the mercury level was raised to here. So, what you have observed? For same 1 degree centigrade of rise of temperature, the expansion of alcohol is larger. Here, the expansion of mercury is smaller when compared to the expansion of one alcohol. So, hence alcohol expansion is very large. Even it is a small change in temperature, the expansion of alcohol will be observable. We can easily observe its expansion when it is a small change in temperature. So, hence alcohol is used to observe small changes in temperature. So, what are the thermometric liquids used in thermometer? One is mercury and another one is alcohol. Alcohol is especially used to identify a small changes in temperature. Why alcohol is used to identify small change in temperature? Why? Because its expansion is very large. So that you can easily observe the rise of level of alcohol. Whereas for a small change in temperature, the expansion of mercury is very low. You cannot observe its expansion. With a small change in temperature, the expansion of mercury cannot be observable. It is very small for a small change of temperature, whereas alcohol expansions will be very large even it is a small change in temperature. That is why in some thermometers alcohol can also be used as a thermometric liquid. So, what are the properties of alcohol. So, initially I have explained that alcohol, expansion of alcohol is very large for 1 degree centigrade of rise of temperature. Expansion of alcohol is very large when compared to the expansion of mercury, and alcohol is a colorless. So, if you observe the water, what is the color of the water? So, it is colorless. So, that if you place the alcohol, so alcohol is similar to it is also looks like as a water. So, it is the colorless substance. Alcohol is a colorless substance, colorless liquid. So, when you place alcohol inside the thermometer, it is little bit difficult to identify its level. Why? Because it is colorless. Since alcohol is a colorless, it is a little bit difficult to identify the level of alcohol inside the thermometer. So, you have to color it, you have to give some color. So, by adding some color to that alcohol, the liquid will turns into a colored liquid. So, that if you use the colored liquid in the thermometer, you can easily identify its level. So, you can easily color the alcohol liquids. So, what are the properties of alcohol? Expansion of alcohol is very large, and you can easily color the alcohol. You can easily add some colors to the alcohol. So, by adding the colors, what is the benefits? You can easily identify the level of the alcohol inside the thermometer. If it is colorless, it is very difficult to identify its level. If it is colorful, then you can easily identify the alcohol level of alcohol inside the thermometer. So, what are the properties of alcohol? So, in the previous class we have seen that alcohol properties of mercury. So, now properties of alcohol. Properties of alcohol. The first property is expansion of alcohol. Expansion of alcohol. First point, expansion of alcohol is very large. Second property is alcohol can be colored easily. You can easily color the alcohol liquid. So, when we are using alcohol as a thermometer liquid, to observe a small changes in the temperature, you have to use alcohol as a liquid. So, let us learn about the measuring devices. We have till now we have seen what are the liquids we are using in the measuring devices of temperature. What is thermometer? Thermometer is a device used for the measurement of temperature. So, let us learn about the in depth about measuring devices of temperature. Let us learn about the in depth about the thermometers. So, initially I have considered a clinical thermometer. So, what do you mean by clinical thermometer? What is meant by thermometer? Thermometer is a device used to measure temperature. What is thermometer? Thermometer. So, thermometer is a device. Thermometer is a device used to measure temperature. There are two types of thermometers are there. Two types of thermometers. So, there are two types of thermometer. So, one is clinical thermometer, and another one is laboratory thermometer. One is clinical thermometer, another one is laboratory thermometer. So, let us learn about clinical thermometer. What is meant by clinical thermometer? So, the thermometer which is used to measure human body temperature is called as clinical thermometer. So, the clinical thermometer is used to measure human body temperature. So, next one is clinical. Let us learn about clinical thermometer. So, just pause the video and make a notes, keep a notes and write it in your notes. So, in the final last 5 minutes I will give some homework. So, you can write that homework by making some notes. So, let us learn about clinical thermometer. So, in the clinical thermometer there are two types of scales. One is centigrade scale, degree centigrade or degree centigrade scale, and another one is degrees Fahrenheit scale. So, if you observe here, there are two types of scalings are there. On either side of the thermometer there are two scales. One is degree centigrade scale and another one is degrees Fahrenheit scale. So, what is meant by centigrade? It is the centigrade, degree centigrade. So, degree centigrade is denoted as with the symbol like this, degrees angle degree and C, capital C. So, this is Fahrenheit, it is denoted with capital F. So, these are the units of temperature, If for example, if it is a distance, what are the units of distance? It can be centimeters, meters, kilometers, anything. So, these are the units, these meters, kilometers, centimeters are the units of distance. Seconds, hours, days, week are the units of time, kgs, kilograms. So, similarly, these are kgs, grams are the units of mass. So, similarly, degree centigrade, Fahrenheit are the units of temperature. What are the units of temperature? Centigrade, Fahrenheit, and another unit is also there, that is Kelvin. There are 3 units for the temperature. By measuring, you can measure the temperature in 3 different units. What are the units of temperature? One is degrees centigrade, another one is degrees Fahrenheit, and another one is Kelvin. For distance, for measuring the distance, what are the units? Meters, centimeters and kilometers. So, there are 3 different units. So, similarly, temperature is also has 3 units. One is centigrade scale, centigrades, degree centigrades, degree Fahrenheit, and another one is Kelvins. And the scales on the readings on the clinical thermometer will give the temperature either in centigrade scale or in Fahrenheit scale. So, the mercury level, you can observe the mercury level and can take the readings of that. By observing the mercury level, you can take the readings of that. If the mercury level was up to 20 degrees centigrade, up to 37 degrees centigrade, then in the Fahrenheit scale, it will have 98.6. So, if the mercury level is denoting here, if the mercury level is up to here, up to here, then what is the readings here? 37 degrees centigrade. So, if you take the left hand side readings, then it is 98.6. The same level indicates centigrade scale measurements and the same level of mercury also indicates Fahrenheit scale. So, the clinical thermometer consists of 2 scales. One is degree centigrade scale and another one is degree Fahrenheit scale. What is clinical thermometer? Thermometer which is used to measure human body temperature is called clinical thermometer. So, write it. First point is thermometer which is used to measure human body temperature. Thermometer which is used to measure human body temperature is called clinical thermometer. So, clinical thermometer consists of two scales. It consists of two scales. So, you can observe two gradings on it. You can observe the divisions, two different types of divisions on the thermometer. So, what are the two scales present on the clinical thermometer is, one is centigrade scale and Fahrenheit scale, and there is an important observation in the clinical thermometer. So, I did not denote it here. Now, I will show what was the important here is there will be some curved structure, there will be some curved structure in the thermometer, in the clinical thermometer. The tube presented inside the thermometer will have some curve, we will call it as kink, Clinical thermometer consists of kink. So, what do you mean by kink? It is a small curved arrangement inside the hollow tube of the thermometer. So, what is the use of that kink? What is the application of that kink? So, how can you measure the human body temperature by using this clinical thermometer? You have to place it under the tongue, or you have to place under the shoulder. In the armpit, you have to place the thermometer. So, you have to remove it from your mouth and you have to see the readings. So, whenever you will remove it from the tongue, whenever you will detach from it from the human body, the mercury level may, the level of the mercury may decreases if you remove it. So, in order to keep the mercury level constantly, you will place a curved structure in the structure of clinical thermometer. What is the use of this kink? It will makes the level of mercury remains at that position. It will keeps the level of mercury in that position, so that if you remove the thermometer from the human body also, the level will be constant. It does not falls down because of this kink. If it was straight, what will happen? If you remove the thermometer from the human body, definitely the mercury level will falls down, the level of the mercury falls down. So, because of the curved structure at here keeps the level of mercury constantly, even if you are removed from the human body, even if you are detached from the human body, this kink will keeps the level of mercury there. So, this kink is a special application in the clinical thermometer. So, clinical thermometer consists of kink. Clinical thermometer consists of kink. Why we are using kink is it will keep the level of mercury constant. Of course, you have removed it from the detached from the human body, and the normal temperature of human body is 37 degrees centigrade. The normal temperature of human body is 37 degrees centigrade. If it is in Fahrenheit scale, it is equal to 98.6 Fahrenheit. It is equal to 98.6 Fahrenheit. So, what is the normal temperature of human body? It is 37 degrees centigrade, and what is the normal temperature of human body in Fahrenheit scale? It is 98.6. For example, in what is the distance? If the distance is 1 meter, in centimeters it will be equal to 100 centimeters. So, here the numericals may be different, but the distance is same. Similar to that, the temperatures, the numerical values appears to be different, but the temperature is same. What is the difference here? Units are different. Here centigrade units, here Fahrenheit units, here meters, it is centimeters. So, in degree centigrade, if it is 37, in Fahrenheit scale it is 98.6. So, just note the points of clinical thermometer, and I will give a homework for you. So, in the previous class we have I was discussed and I have written some properties of mercury. So, write properties of mercury And in the today's class also we have discussed properties of alcohol. And also list out the key points of clinical thermometer. So, describe the clinical thermometer. So, list out some key points about clinical thermometer. So, in the next class we will learn about digital thermometer. In the next class we will learn about digital thermometer, laboratory thermometer, and we will learn about the readings present on the thermometer. Thank you.